Hello, in this video we're going to go through this example problem right here. It's emailed to me from a student. Now I've given different numbers, but it's the same principle here. So we want to factor this expression. So before doing this one, I'm going to give you a slightly different problem that I think is probably going to be more accessible. And it's this. Factor x squared minus 11x plus 18. Well, we can see here that the product needs to be 18. There's my product. And the sum has to be negative 11. There's my sum. So I know that's going to be two numbers that are negative, because if the sum is negative and the product is positive, it has to be two numbers which are negative, and I know those numbers are negative 9 and negative 2. So therefore this factors to x minus 9 and x minus 2. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Let's look at a problem that is slightly different, but still the same. What if I asked you to factor this? 1 minus 11y plus 18y squared. So now this one doesn't look quite as nice because there's a coefficient in front of the y squared term, but we could still figure this out. So the product is going to be 1 times 18, so that's 18, and the sum is going to be the b term, which is negative 11. Now you might be able to quickly make the observation that when we factor this is going to factor to 1 minus 9y and then 1 minus 2y. However, if you can't make that observation, you could use decomposition. So we get 1 minus 9y minus 2y plus 18y squared. So we factor out a 1 here. So we get 1 minus 9y, and we factor out a minus 2 there, and we get 1 minus, sorry, not a minus 2, a minus 2y. And that gives us a 1 minus 9y. And then sure enough, we see this factors to 1 minus 9y, 1 minus 2y. So these are two different questions that are quite accessible. All this question does is kind of put them together. So in this question, my product is going to be 1 times 18, which is 18, and my sum is going to be negative 11. So we know those two numbers are going to be minus 9 and minus 2. Now we see that this expression leads with an x squared, so the only two things to multiply together to give me x squared is x and x. But the tricky part is that we have a y squared, and since the b term has an xy, all that means is we just do that, and we're done. So when we factor x squared minus 11xy plus 18y squared, if we see that we have a squared as a leading coefficient, sorry, we have squared at the front and squared at the end, and we see we have both of them in the middle, that's the pattern we apply. Let's look at one that's slightly different. A squared, let's say plus 14ab and let's say plus 49b squared. So again, initially this could be a little bit intimidating, but what I noticed is that I have an a squared, I have a b squared, and I have ab. So I'm going to factor this just like I usually would. The product is 49, and the sum is equal to 14, and those two numbers are 7 and 7. So I'm going to get a plus 7b times a plus 7b, and that's a perfect square, so I have a plus 7b squared, and I'm done. I hope this video helped.